I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. Just haven't made the time, and haven't had the reloading stuff out like I do. I finally got back into reloading on some quantity, and it just reminded me of how much I despise this thing right here. This is the Lee auto priming tool or hand priming tool, and if you're new to reloading, I would highly recommend that you do not get one of these. You can see it's got some modifications on it. So let's go over a couple of pluses, because it's not all bad, but it is aggravating, and if I had to do it again, I would not buy one of these. But let's go over some of the good points. It does come, when you buy it, it does come with 2 trays. It comes with a small primer, small pistol primer, rifle primer, whatever, and a large primer tray, whether it be large pistol or large rifle. So it's nice that you don't have to switch trays to when you're going from a small primer to a large primer. But that's, and it is easy to use. You just kind of squeeze this handle here, and it feeds the primer up into there. Okay. I know Log Cabin Looms has a couple of these, and he kind of likes them. But the more I use this thing, the more it forces me to not like it. So Log Cabin Looms. So let's go into the minuses. Log Cabin Looms also has experienced this dislike with it. The way you put these covers on is you just kind of slide it, pivot here, but the problem is, you see the tang, this little tang right here is very flimsy, and this one's already broken off. So the only way to really keep it on there from now on is I have gone to taping it. And when I saw Log Cabin Looms had his primer thing, he put rubber bands on it. So that's one workaround with the rubber bands. I do also like another feature, but the other auto primes, it's got these little dimples in it. So what's nice is you just put your primer on there and you shake it, and what happens is it grabs the edge and it flips the primer over. So you don't have to sit there and turn over each one individually. You just kind of give it a little shake, and make sure this cover is kind of loosely on when you do that, or else you have a potential of spilling the primers all over the floor. Okay, the next dislike is you really have to work this thing without any primers on it in order to get it to smooth out, because initially when I was using it, it would like catch halfway there, and you put a little more force in it, and it would pop, and you know, it would the way it feeds the new primer, it pushes it up, it takes it from, there's a little path here, and it pushes it up, and if you click it too hard, it'll actually shoot this primer off and shoot it across the room. So that's kind of a combination problem. So you really want to work this thing, or put a little lube in this little corner here, and get it nice and smooth. But after it gets going, it's pretty nice. It works pretty well. What I do is I use my thumb. I'll hold it like this, and I'll sometimes, if it's hard to get in, I'll just kind of assist with my other hand. So that's another thing you have to worry about, have to watch. Now, herein lies the most aggravating part of the priming tool. When you prime, like I said, you know, you set your bullet in here, or you set your casing in here, right? And you have to shake. First, what you'd have to do is, there's a little line. Let me open up this other one. The way this thing works is you put your primers in this tray, put the lid on, and then you have to shake them down, and the primers will run down here, and then you kind of shake it to where they all line up in this little channel, and have them run down this channel. And then when you squeeze the handle, the first one, you push it up, and the first primer would pop up and fall against this post, and then you got to let it down again to let the primer fall into that the feeding hole, and then you squeeze again, and it seats a primer while it feeds the next primer up into like the staging area. Theoretically, no big deal, no problems, right? Well, as I showed you before, if you push it, if it gets caught and you push it and it jerks, you can shoot that primer that's feeding up out of there, and then you got to go either retrieve it, or if it rolls under a desk, you got to go retrieve it from under the desk. If you're lucky, you'll fall on your reloading table, which I try to prime over my reloading table. So that's the first aggravation of using this thing. The second aggravation, and you know, I don't know why they do that, because if you have the RCBS, I bought the RCBS hand loading tool, and it is much higher quality, much better, and it doesn't cost that much more. I think this was in the neighborhood of $45, and this was in the neighborhood of like $36. So for $10 more, you can save yourself a whole lot of aggravation. But anyway, it is a little cumbersome to put together at first, but I do like it better than this, albeit if something screws up with this one, it is a little more work to try to disassemble, but it works smoother, so it's a trade-off, but I do much like this one better. And see, the way it works, there's no edge, there's no slider or anything to line up with, so I don't know why. The only reason why I think they went with this design is you know, to keep from copyright, or not copyright, but patent infringements or something. But then the other thing too is there's no feeding, no elevator, external open elevator to bring the primer up. The primer's just in there, and when you squeeze, right, the next primer comes in, and that's it. You know, there are two, I think there are two attachments, this little plastic thing for large and small primers, just like with the Lee, except the Lee, the whole thing is a tray. But this one is so much better, much easier to use. But anyway, back to the. I do keep a rubber band on here just in case, because this is just held in with this little peg. The peg is on the top lid, and it goes into this hole, so it's just a little friction fit. So I keep the rubber band just for safety, or cautionary factor. But anyway, so let me show you the biggest aggravation of this Lee prime tool. All right, so aside from this popping out, potentially popping out, once in a while, I would say like every fourth or fifth primer that goes in, so you see it staging up, so then you let the handle down, and it pops up in there, and it feeds into there, and then like that. So every fourth or fifth primer, I'll go ahead and take this out, it will tumble on you. The primer will tumble. See if I can get it to do it. It probably won't do it while I'm trying to demonstrate. But so what I'll do is I'm just going to record and prime some brass, and then when it does it, I'll show you on the camera. All right, so I gotta get one staged up, put it in there. It probably won't do it now that I'm making a video. All right, so what I do is I like to set under a bright light when I do this, and I look in here to make sure that the primer is set right. And sometimes also the primer would get stuck on the lip here and flip out or pushed up on the lid. it did it. It did it. All right, you saw me. I didn't do anything special. It did it. I don't know if you can see. Let me get my flashlight here. Look in there, see? See how it's offset? And if you try to jam that into the bottom of your casing, oh, yeah, straighten itself out. But sometimes it'll come up like that, and you can either stick your primer in backwards, or it'll set in sideways. And I've got a collection of casings here with screwed up primers. Let me see where. Yep, these are my 38s. So you can see that one there went in cockeyed. That one caught the corner, and that one caught the corner there. And I have some that were actually sideways. I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, I couldn't find those other ones. So let me do a few more just to show you. Oh, there it is. See that? Did it again. So if you ever get one of these, make sure you are in a well-lit area. Otherwise, you're going to be cramming these primers sideways. Look at that, into your casing. So, no bueno, Lee. No bueno. I like a lot of the other products that Lee makes, and I was really trying to like this. Even with knowing the problems and trying to work around it, it's just aggravating that you have to, it's not reliable, and that you have to kind of do little tricks and special handling process to make sure that it doesn't malfunction on you. So, but I don't know. Some people love them, some people hate them. I don't like that little external feed ramp or feed elevator, and for some reason, I don't know if I need to polish something in there or what, but I've had this for over 5-8 years, and it used to work fine, or it used to not flip as often as it did. Maybe 1 out of 15 or 20 would do that. Now about maybe 1 out of 5 or 8 would do that to me. So I mostly use my RCBS one now, but in lieu of changing over my primer trays and stuff like that, I keep this for my small primers, and I keep this for my large primers. But I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it with the problems it has. So that's all I got to say. Later.